Hello everybody! Well, the reason that I'm already almost laughing with this video is because I was going through some old files, some of the stuff that I wrote when I was younger, and I found something that was, well, I haven't read it through yet, but I vaguely remember what it is, and so I set myself a challenge today, which is to try and read a piece of this, this thing that I wrote when I was 14, 14, without laughing, and it's going to be quite difficult because, well, for reasons that will become quite apparent. It's basically for those of you that say, why don't you do romance in your books? And you know, I don't really do romance in my books. I do love. All my characters love each other, especially when they've been through so many grueling, horrific events. They love each other, you know, Alex and Donovan and Z and Simon, they love each other to pieces. Brick and Daisy and Cal and the few they do. And, you know, in The Devil's Engine, my new trilogy, there is a bit of love. Marlowe and Pan, I mean, there is a kind of will they, won't they thing going on. Probably the closest I've ever got to a love story. It's not really a love story, it's a gruesome action horror story, but you know, the closest I've ever got to a love story within a gruesome action horror story. Anyway, I'm waffling. Anyway, let me just do this because it's, you know, it's ridiculous. So this is this is something I wrote when I was 13, 14. It's called Illusion of Paradise, and for those of you that say I can't do romance, well, just have a go. So no, I'm not trying. Let me just read you the blurb. I can't even remember if I did this seriously or not. But gorgeous Cindy Beaufort, the most beautiful girl in the whole of Beverly Hills High School, has just set off with her boyfriend Matt Carlton on a beautiful excursion to the Canary Isles. What more could Cindy want? A handsome man, a private paradise? But soon things start to cave in around the edges. Who is the mysterious girl who seems to be dragging Matt away from her? There you go. Illusion of Paradise by G. Smith. Published by G. Smith Publications, Great Britain. Chapter 1. The lazy afternoon sun shone down onto the Beverly Hills High School. Suddenly the last bell of the summer term rang out and a crowd of pupils rushed out of every exit onto the street. The summer vacation had just begun, and Cindy Beaufort was determined to enjoy it. Cindy was a beautiful blonde, I was 14, give me some slack, who was said to be the most stunning girl in the whole grade. I can't even read this. She was tall. Well, the 14-year-old me would be like mortified that I was reading this in front of so many people. She was tall, and this was mostly due to her splendid legs, which were only the beginning of her beautiful figure. Just as Cindy reached the bottom of the school steps, a flashy red Porsche screeched to a halt next to where she was standing. The electric windows descended with a small metallic hum, just in case you didn't know what an electric window sounded like, and a handsome face with a granite jaw appeared. The superior features belonged to Matt Carlton, a 21-year-old real-life Superman. Not that I was wish fulfilling, you know, wish fulfillmenting or anything, being, you know, a quite podgy 14-year-old boy who I don't think a single girl ever looked at during my childhood. He was the son of a deceased Californian tycoon who, when he died, left all his money to his son, which made Matt a millionaire. "Hey, Cindy!" Matt shouted, his macho voice overcoming the hustle of all the other teenagers. Cindy spun round to see who had called her. "Matt!" she shouted in surprise. "What are you doing here?" Matt opened the passenger door of the sports car. "Well, it's a long story," he shouted. "Hop in the car and I'll explain." Cindy threw her bag into the back seat and then climbed into the car herself. Matt looked her up and down, then leant over to the passenger side and pressed his lips against hers. She accepted the kiss with a small gasp of pleasure. Ooh. She felt as though she were about to melt. Their lips parted and Matt returned back to his side of the car. It was a big car. "I've got good news," he explained, licking his lips. Sorry. Cindy... I'm actually blushing. Cindy's eyes had glazed over a tiny bit, and Matt had to repeat the sentence before he finally got her full attention. "In less than 12 hours, me and you and I 3 of us, apparently, will be on the plane to my private island in the Canary Isles. Probably like Tenerife. Matt looked at Cindy and she gazed back. The Canary Isles, she gasped. She was speechless, although apparently not, because she just said, the Canary Isles. Eventually she murmured, but I'll have to ask my parents. It's already confirmed. Your suitcase is packed and it's in the back. We're all ready to leave. Cindy's lips widened into a beautiful smile, and before she could say another thing, Matt had leant over again and kissed her. She returned the kiss, and before long the Porsche was speeding along Route 16 towards the Beverly Hills Airport. I don't know if there was a Route 16 or if there's a Beverly Hills Airport, but there you go. The moon had risen, and a silvery glow had illuminated the car park of the airport. How romantic. By the time Cindy and Matt had arrived, it had been a hard drive, but they had stopped more than once in the cause of romance. I don't even know what that means. They'd stopped more than once in the cause of romance. The couple stepped out of the car and stretched their tired limbs. Ah, Cindy shook her cramped neck. Oh, neck cramp, you wouldn't be shaking, would you? You'd be probably screaming. And her golden hair flowed over her shoulders, spilling onto her chest and over her back. Matt flexed his muscles. Showing off the enlarged biceps. Sounds like he's been fed nectar. The enlarged biceps! His equally muscled legs carried him over to Cindy. The moonlight caused shadows to appear along her side, emphasizing her beautiful figure. Matt laughed. His grey eyes sliding over Cindy with a sensual delight. She blushed, her nerve ends sparkling like candles in the wind. She opened her mouth to speak, but before she could, the deafening roar of an ascending plane cut her off. Before the noise had finally trailed away to nothing, Matt had grabbed her arm. Matt's a bit of a knob, to be honest. Matt had grabbed her arm and was even now leading her into the hustle and bustle of a crowded airport. Matt, go easy, mate. She'll get there, just let her make her own mind up. Matt gestured to an empty seat standing alone. Standing? What is he? In the centre of the building. My cat's come along. He's enjoying this. Take a seat while I find out where our plane is, he commanded. He commanded. Oh my God. But before he could carry out his actions, Cindy had grabbed his arm. A confused frown appeared, covering Matt's handsome features. Cindy, he said, his voice wavering with a touch of concern. Cindy, what's the matter? She sighed. Her brain knew a simple reason for her performance, but her heart protested at the thought of turning down Matt's offer. It's just... Cindy was cut off by the canned voice of a lady paging all the people who were leaving for the Canary Islands. Quick, Matt shouted, over to the counter! Cindy had no choice but to go with him. Together they sped over to the desk where a pretty young assistant was stamping tickets. Matt thrust his tickets in front of the woman and flashed one of his womanizing smiles. That says it already, womanizing smiles. I probably didn't think what I thought it meant when I was that age, but he is a total womanizer. She immediately went all red and stabbed the tickets. Oh, through the door to your right, the assistant muttered through glowing cheeks. You should just be on time. Thanks, Matt said to the girl in his bold voice. She looked down at her feet. Cindy had to fight to keep a straight face. You certainly have a way with women, Cindy told Matt as they made their way through the small door with boarding stenciled clearly in big letters across it. Matt smiled down at Cindy, who was a full 5 inches shorter than himself. I know, was the answer that he gave. Cindy laughed and gave him a friendly nudge with her elbow. Well, hurry up, Mr. Modest, Cindy said sarcastically. We'll miss the plane. Entering the occupied boarding room, Matt and Cindy located a couple of chairs and, forgetting all about her bad thoughts of leaving this abruptly, Cindy began to dream of the upcoming 2 weeks in the Canary Isles. There we go. I will spare you chapter 2. Is that chapter 3? No, just chapter 2, I think. If enough of you ask, I'll read chapter 2. There you go. There's a deal. So, yeah, obviously, yeah. What can I say about that? That was me writing Illusion of Paradise. I imagine it's Illusion of Paradise. I like to think that maybe Cindy starts to realise that Matt isn't the man of her dreams and is actually a bit of a tool. But I will never know, alas, because I only ever wrote the first 2 chapters. But there you go. For those of you that say I can't do romance, all I have to say is master of romance. There you go, proof right there. Thank you very much for watching. Not my usual kind of video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And yeah, maybe I should write the rest of them. I'll write the rest of Illusion of Paradise, but I'll make a horror story. Brilliant idea! I'm going to totally do that. Anyway, see you soon.